Tunecore, who is staying with us, with someone that we can call the unifying thread between all Tunecore's global operations. Please welcome with us Faryal Khan-Thompson, the Vice President of International at Tunecore. Welcome, Faryal.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Good.
everybody.
Thanks,
you.
everyone.
And great listening into your talk.
Thanks, Barry.
Hey, Dan, one of my
Would you like to
Tunecore co-workers. Awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
After you have been with TAC for more than 10 years, where you oversaw the company's global strategy, you joined TuneCore 6 months ago to become the VP International. How is the transition going?
Yeah, it is fast and furious, to say the least, but really, really, exciting. And, just to share a little bit with this group about what brought me to TuneCore, and my background. I like to call it the perfect fit scenario. So I was looking for a change, and the opportunity presented itself to combine my professional experience in helping brands scale and go global with my personal passion for music. The timing was just right, and I couldn't say no. A few fun facts about me: I did musical theater for over 20 years. I am a hobbyist singer myself. My younger brother is a TuneCore artist, which I didn't even know before I was interviewing for the job here. And my mother is a trained Indian classical singer as well. So music has always been a huge part of my life. And to be able to jump headfirst into the music industry and the music tech world has just been serendipitous for me. And exactly to your point, and thank you for that intro. Prior to joining TuneCore, I spent the last 10 years plus in what I like to call the world of localization. So I worked on the agency side, supporting many clients or brands across a range of industries, including many music brands as well, to help them enter new markets and to do so strategically and successfully. I think I've always had a global mindset. So working in international environments with people from all over the world. I'm a first generation American myself. My parents are Pakistani, and so I have roots outside of the US. I love to travel, so this pandemic and lockdown has been extremely challenging, although now I just put up backgrounds of different countries and locations in my Zoom calls so I can feel like I'm somewhere else every day. But ultimately, I love learning about different cultures and languages and how consumer behaviors differ across borders. So, to sum it up, I'm thrilled to be able to bring this passion and experience to TuneCore. And the last thing I'll say about what sealed the deal for me to come to TuneCore was the company's mission and values. TuneCore puts their artists first in everything that we do. And our goal is to support independent artists at every stage of their career. And I just love that. I think that's so important. And you should be able to have a successful career and make a living as an independent artist, if that's your passion. So just really excited to be a part of the team. And so the transition has been, like I said at the top of the response, fast and furious, really just learning a lot and, feeling like it's a very exciting time in this space, in the music business and in music tech specifically.
Thank you, Faryal. Well, that was a very, very clear answer. So can you tell us more about your role at the company, your day-to-day activities, and so on?
Yeah, absolutely. As previously mentioned, and as you guys can kind of see on the the invite, I am TuneCore's Vice President of International. So I oversee TuneCore's existing international team, and I am responsible for the brand's growth and expansion into new territories. So I currently manage a team of 12 across the globe, and my role touches strategy, operations, and marketing as its core functions. Since I joined last year, our team grew from having an on the ground presence in 5 countries to 11 countries and 3 major regions, which is, again, like I said, tied back to that fast and furious, but also really, really, exciting, and a testament to the company's, commitment in investing in its international expansion. So, as mentioned, our international team grew. We actually tripled in size, and we have local experts with boots on the ground to represent the Tunecore brand in LATAM, Brazil, Africa, Southeast Asia, India, the US, Canada. You guys met Dan, Belgium and the Netherlands, France, Germany, Italy, and the UK today. And we'll soon be going into expanding into Greater China and hopefully more markets to come. We do our LATAM team also oversees Spain. So just shout out to you guys. And we're hoping to have some more consultant support on the ground there in that market soon, where there's a lot of opportunity. But ultimately, my team wants to make sure that our artists have a best in class experience with Tunecore, no matter their country. And if I distill it down, my objective is pretty clear. It's to successfully establish and grow the Tunecore brand internationally and support independent artists across the globe, helping them to get their music out into the world and get heard and paid.
Great, thank you so much. So, Andy Edwards, research director at UK Music, mentioned yesterday how it was interesting to see that in the past, local artists, would see their music become popular in their hometown. And today, with the power of social media, artists can hear their music globally. So, can you tell us why is thinking about global audiences so important for an independent artist today?
That's a really great question. And I think so important because a lot of people really overlook that piece, I feel, even still today. It's hard to kind of look outside of what might be a comfortable peer view or bubble, if you will, to understand, why thinking globally as an artist is really important and how that's going to help you in your career. And, to me, it really boils down to the fact that you never know where your fan base is going to be or your next fan base is going to be. And I think that is, so much of the beauty of living in this extremely digitally connected world, that we're in. You know, the ability to reach people across borders has never been easier, in many ways. And so I think that, you can get insights about fan bases you never knew about. And I feel like, for independent artists, especially, you are your own brand, and you want to be able to um, unlock growing your brand, where there are people that are going to resonate with that, whatever your brand is. And so I think what's interesting for the artist as well, just to add to that, is, you know, independent artists are being discovered by more and more fans, as mentioned, oftentimes outside of their home country. Um, there's countless examples of artists who use TuneCore and through our data and analytics and insights that are provided, find out about fans that they have and use that information to build audiences in many different places. So, just what's top of mind for me, I was recently talking to one of our, American US based artists who discovered that he essentially had a cult following in China, something that he, I think previously, before what so rightfully mentioned in the framing the question, prior to social media and, all of this digital access, may not have been able to kind of find that out so easily. And so, to me, I think that that's really important. And I'll add that from TuneCore's side, our distribution gives artists the opportunity to be in over 150 stores globally across 200 countries. So I think that really, that's one of the ways in which we are supporting artists to find those fans wherever they may be, and really supporting them to, not only think globally, but okay, now how can we help facilitate unlocking that potential to grow, you know, those fan bases all over the world.
Yeah, well, I suppose that artists want to reach a global audience and TuneCore wants to reach global artists. What does TuneCore do to be able to achieve that?
Yeah, oh my gosh, so many things. So, what are we doing to reach more artists, worldwide? I think one of the big things that I said in an earlier answer is really at the heart of it for me. And it starts with um, the local investment, or the international investment. So I think, and I even heard this on the previous, panel from some of the panelists, but just the fact that we are investing in resources and boots on the ground to be that, local presence to help inform, our local strategy and advise, what is important to artists in their particular market, is something that we are actively doing. The fact that we're not having people who sit in the US, for example, make all the decisions about, what is going to be effective and what we need to do in Spain or in Africa, but really hiring people that are, based in those countries to support this is, I think, one thing that we are doing because we are serious about wanting to reach more artists worldwide and really speak to them, not only in their local language, but understanding, the local culture and the nuances that may exist from independent artist markets, across borders. So, the boots on the ground with the local country managers and heads of Tunecore and our international investment is definitely key. I think the fact that, we are also localizing in language our product offering in, many different languages, since I joined, and now today we have 8 fully localized websites and 13 language options for TuneCore that continues to be fast growing. So we've got a lot more in the pipeline. And to me, that is also a direct response to, wanting to be able to reach artists and not let language, be a barrier. And we're very proud to be the, the leading multilingual, competitor in this space, so we only hope to continue to, capitalize on that. And, we have many more languages that are in the pipeline to be rolled out of 2021 and beyond. So, those are just a couple things. And I will add one last thing on this, which was sort of tied to the previous question a little bit as well. But, we also recognize that our store partners and the stores that are important to our independent artists differ by country and by region. So one great example is the fact that, we talk about the big known names like Spotify, Apple Music, etc. But we know that those aren't always the biggest stores or players for artists in, different countries. So India is a great example where, we have Ghana, Wink, Hangama as the big three, which is where local artists want to get their music out because that's where their fans are listening. So, TuneCore has really been, we pride ourselves in making sure that, we are constantly having a finger on the pulse through our local investment with knowing what new stores are popping up, what stores are most important to our artists in their market, and investing to make sure that, we are the provider that offers that access to all stores worldwide.
Yeah, well, definitely adapting to the local environment is very important to connect with the artists on a personal level and accompany them through their careers. Well, as you mentioned earlier, with operations in 11 countries as the UK, Japan, France, an international team of workers and clients from different countries with different backgrounds, from different cultures and languages, what is for you the magical recipe to manage all these operations with such a global scale?
Oh man, the $1 million question. I think, I don't necessarily feel that there is one right answer to this, or a magic bullet. But from my experience, working in international organizations and in a global role, I would say that the recipe boils down to these main ingredients for me: respect, leading by example, transparency and open lines of communication, empowering your team and delegation as a manager, um, setting up scalable operational infrastructure, so process, sometimes the less sexy stuff, if you will, but so important, and being accessible, but also setting your boundaries. I'm happy to go into any of those in more detail, but I'll also add, related to that, 5 critical things that I feel are important for, success. One is relationship building. And I cannot stress this enough. When you're in an international role, by default, it's going to be an extremely collaborative position where you're going to be working with stakeholders from different parts of the organization and across different levels. The truth of the matter is that if you have strong and positive relationships with the people you need to help you meet your goals and get things done, the more likely they will be to help you. So, you know, not only do I express this to people that I manage directly, but I put it into practice myself. It's, you might think that that's more of a soft skill, but it's so important. That component. Number two, leaving your ego at the door. So I think that learning goes both ways, and I learn so much from the people that I work with every day. And this is so important when you're managing a global team, because you're never going to know everything, and you're not going to have the local lens or the local expertise that your international team or your international stakeholders do. So I would say that you need to be a good listener. Third, setting clear expectations with your team and with yourself. You need to understand what your main objectives are. I think that sometimes that can be, that can cause confusion and a lack of, what the common goal is that we're marching towards if you don't set those expectations clearly up front. Number 4 is governance. So setting up scalable procedures to drive efficiency. And this can even mean the right amount of meetings with clear objectives and stakeholders. And, an analogy that somebody said to me once in my career, that I'll mention here is like, I don't know if anybody on this call is into boats or sailing, but if you think about, being on a 2-person canoe or a small sailboat, and at that point you're kind of doing everything yourself. You're paddling, and your hair's in the wind, and you're setting things up and to steer. But if you think about when you go from there to perhaps being on a cruise ship that is, exponentially larger, things are on autopilot at that point, right? You have a protocol in place. You wouldn't be successful using the same tactics and methodologies you used when you were in that canoe or in that sailboat for a cruise ship. And that's, to me, that's kind of a great way that I like to think about, making things scalable. And so lastly, what I'll say is setting your boundaries. It's really easy when you're working in a global role to feel like you're around the clock 24/7, because you're working with people all over the world. And so I think you need to be fluid and flexible. You're probably not going to be in a traditional 9 to 5, or something very rigid, but you need to have your boundaries for when you shut it off and those times that you'll be unavailable, because otherwise that can also be a very slippery slope. So I hope that those points and tips are helpful.
Well, those are actually very good points for future managers out there. So, finally, I would like to end this talk by asking you about what makes TuneCore the best choice for independent artists, and how would you convince an artist who want to start a career in the music industry, which I'm sure we have many with us in the audience today, to join TuneCore and not another company?
Ooh, what a question to to end on. And what I'll say is, obviously, I think that for the independent artists out there, they have to really decide what's most important to them, and make that choice. I hope what I've already expressed today is, you know, from an international standpoint, the fact that TuneCore is committed to servicing artists worldwide, and you've heard about some of the activities, that we are doing to really support those efforts. I would say, if you want that worldwide reach, that you have an investment through a partner like TuneCore, to get your music heard. Um, you know, every possible corner of the world, is definitely one. But I would also say, for us, we really pride ourselves on, again, like I said, putting the artist first with everything we do, but being, you know, supporting, having something for artists at every stage of their career. I think that this is really important because, we're not just for the artist that is, at already seeing, great success, and already really far up the funnel. But, we have services for those artists at that level. Um, I think that additionally, paying out we like to say 100% of 100% of your earnings. And that is definitely something unique to TuneCore, where we manage all of our relationships with our digital store partners globally ourselves. This means that there is no third party and no middleman who is facilitating, the collection and transferring of payments to our artists. And we really like to, hone in on that point of, we don't want to leave any money on the table for our artists. So I think for us, ensuring that we manage those relationships directly to ensure that we have the best possible standing with our store partners, and we are getting the most money possible in the pockets of our artists, is really important. And that's one thing that you may have seen reflected in a campaign last year, a milestone that we're really proud of, that our artists hit, which is collectively earning over $2 billion from our artists at TuneCore, which far outpaces and surpasses the combined earnings of artists on some of our competitors. So, I think really for us, doing those things to, promote success for our artists and maintaining their independence. And additionally, looking at product offerings and additional tools to help our artists, grow their careers. The last thing I'll say is, I'm really proud of something that we actually just unveiled this week, which is we actually launched 2 new groundbreaking programs created to empower independent artists globally: TuneCore Rewards and TuneCore Certified. These are, programs that nobody else is offering in our competitors, so they are definitely something unique to TuneCore. TuneCore Certified awards artists with digital plaques to celebrate milestones for total streams achieved by a single or an album. And the awards program was inspired by traditional music industry recognition plaques, so think going gold or going platinum, which we're really excited about. And TuneCore Rewards is a first of its kind multi-level educational program where artists can unlock rewards and VIP status through career education. This is a free program for TuneCore artists, and part of our efforts to be more than just a distribution company by providing more value for independent artists who choose TuneCore as their distributor. So there's so much more that I could go, on and on about, what makes us different, what we believe in, but hopefully some things I've mentioned outline, a few of those things that we're doing. And like I said, we're always trying to innovate and keep our artists first in mind with everything that we do.
Well, since we still have 2 extra minutes left, can you tell us a bit more about your past work experience at TAG?
Yeah, absolutely. Is I don't know if there's anything specific on that you want to know, but what I'll say is, with my experience at Tag, I consider being at Tunecore on the client side for me. So, Tag is the what I call the agency world, where I am solving in many ways, I was working with a range of clients to solve similar problems or similar challenges as what I've been hired to do for Tunecore today. So really working with brands like Beats, even Sony Music, many clients within the music space, um, to to scale the localization efforts. So really take a the right approach to not have. I'm sure many of you guys have seen this as an international audience, but really my role and my work previously was to avoid common pitfalls and you know marketing disasters, if you will. So those things where you're like, how did this make this out into the world, and that can really impact brand reputation negatively if you don't scale the right way, and if sometimes you're too aggressive with the plan. I think it's important to take things in digestible chunks, test and rinse and repeat and learn.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Faryal, for being with us today and for this very interactive talk and for answering my questions very clearly. It was a pleasure to have you with us today at Insights, and we hope we can have you with us for future events. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me, and feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn for anyone that wants to connect.